lie awake at night, worried about their kids going to college, or why?
Oh my God. Look at the, again. These two things are not equivalent, okay? These two things are not equivalent. Even if, and I'm not saying that this is happening, but even if there was, this is the liberals' future, they will never win. What is this?
So you have the word socialism scaring people, and it sounds like a huge thing is Israel-Palestine.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that stuff?
Well, I'm going to put my coffee down. There's so many things that have to be said. And what I've learned is if you don't say all of them, people think you're abandoning them. So here's some things in no particular order that I know. I know that there are unspeakable horrors taking place in Gaza. I know that those unspeakable horrors are something that was unleashed by a war that started with unspeakable horrors being perpetrated by Hamas on October 7th.
Well, I mean, that wasn't the beginning of the conflict.
Of course. I mean, this goes back to 47, and it goes back before 47. But this is exactly my point. Right. The moment you say anything about, the moment I talk about...
Dog, is it or not? Like, is it or not? Oh, the unspeakable horrors. It's like, no, you are making it seem as though there is a symmetry. Before that, there's an apartheid. No symmetry. After that, there's still an apartheid. No symmetry. There's no symmetry in, okay? God damn, these guys are, it's just so crazy. Like, I'm going to be honest. I don't think he's got it in him. I think he's dumber than I think he is not as cynical an operator as I thought he was. Because if he truly had like the Tucker Carlson style dog in him, he would just be like, yeah, of course it's completely unacceptable. We should really recalculate our endless loyalty and support to the nation state of Israel that demands so much from us when we can't even help our own citizens. Okay? That's what he would say. Even if he didn't believe it. Okay? Right now, a good room reader who really wants to be president would be saying those words. And the fact that Pete Buttigieg is not doing that and still trying to do this like wishy-washy shit and thinks he can like rhetoric his way around this implies that maybe he's not as cynical an operator as I thought he was. He's just like bad. He's just worse than I thought he was at this thing. Like, part of the reason why I never liked Pete was because I thought he was a rat. I thought he was like a very cynical operator, right? I think Democrats that want to gain favor are still reluctant to let go of the Israel thing. Like, it's obvious. And I don't know if it's because they just like can't read the room at all. Because the moment that someone actually says those words, it's over. The moment that someone goes up on a debate stage and says those words, they win. Okay? It's one of those things that gives you an immediate leg up. It makes you look earnest in the eyes of broad subsects of the population. This kind of wishy-washy bullshit will not stand. Like, Tucker Carlson's going to win by Reagan numbers if this is what we are putting up in front of him. If it's Gavin Newsom and this against Tucker Carlson, he's going to go up on that stage and say those words because he knows doesn't mean that he believes those words. He doesn't have to believe in anything. He's just saying those words specifically because he knows people want to hear those words. And then it's over. He wins. Just wait, he even repeats the babies baked in ovens lie. Oh my God.
Disgust at babies being put in ovens and people being flayed by Hamas on October 7th. Somebody says, well, you're not talking about the history of the Nakba and what happened with the displacement of Palestinians. And the moment I express disgust.
This is such a perfect demonstration of being an Israel stooge in 2025, by the way. It's so funny. Yeah, made up claim from October 7th directly coming from the Israeli state, lies about everything. while simultaneously trying to create an asymmetry. And even in the hypothetical asymmetry that you're actually describing, the made-up claim on October 7 actually happened during the Nakba. That literally did happen. Zionist brigades did do that, actually. That is documented. And not only did they do that, but October 7 did not displace 750,000 Jews in Israel, but the Nakba did that to 750,000 Palestinians on top of 15,000 Palestinians that were slaughtered. God damn, dude. I'm so sick and tired of these pieces of shit. Oh my God.
At watching people in Gaza being starved. Somebody says, well, you must be excusing what happened with Hamas. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There is nothing intrinsically anti-Semitic about speaking up for the rights of Palestinians. At the same time.
Yeah, good luck explaining that to someone who is a Zionist, okay? But at the same time,
a lot of people I know who lie awake at night worried about their kids going to college or why.
Oh my God. Look at the, again. These two things are not equivalent, okay? These two things are not equivalent. Even if, and I'm not saying that this is happening, but even if there was untold amounts of anti-Semitic incidents taking place on college campuses, that would still be an abhorrent in and of itself, okay? What the fuck is this argument? What is this argument, man? It's like imagine my pet project is like public transit. Or I guess I'll use a vegan example because vegans do this a lot and most vegans don't, but like the vegans that do this comparison get yelled at by people like myself and other vegans as well. Like imagine if you're like, well, there's a going on and you're like, well, I'm a vegan and there's a of cows happening. Why did you just bring that up? What? Like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, even if I were to agree, even if I was vegan, I'd be like, what the fuck are you saying right now? How is that even remotely addressing this other thing that we're talking about? Okay? And the problem is, in America, we do only address this shit, okay? And this shit is cynically weaponized against those who are speaking out against it. It's bullshit. And on top of that, it's not even the way that they present it, okay? This is bullshit. The way that they present like anti-Semitism allegations on college campuses is bullshit. We know it's bullshit. The Trump administration took it to this maximalist position, openly showcasing the shallowness of this argument. It had nothing to do with like anti-Semitism and everything to do with anti-Israel sentiment on college campuses. And the Trump administration expertly used the previous administration's willingness to entertain this idiotic anti-free speech, sinister smear to do academic receiverships in Columbia and other institutes that they're still actively trying to take control over. So good job, liberals, for leaning into this false bullshit narrative that like anti-Semitism had skyrocketed and it became an extraordinary problem on college campuses. Anti-Semitism, actual anti-Semitism, not like, you know, like the dude walking into a synagogue and like trying to stab Jews during Yom Kippur. Like that's anti-Semitism. It's like the most transparent anti-Semitic hate crime, okay? Textbook. Or even down to like drawing a swastika outside of a synagogue or some shit, okay? Those are anti-Semitic incidents, 100%. And those incidents have increased. Real anti-Semitism has increased as a direct consequence of, obviously, Israel associating everything that it's doing with Judaism, okay? But that is utterly irrelevant in terms of stopping this. The only way it's relevant in terms of stopping this is because Israel associates all of those violent acts with Judaism falsely. And I'm sorry to say this, but there are a lot of Jewish people who also personally do that as well in the Western world. And it makes my job a lot harder. It makes people like ourselves, our Jewish anti-Zionist friends, it makes their lives a lot harder when they try to be like, no, dude, it's not like that at all. Don't listen to these people. Anti-Semitism exists. It is a harmful bigotry, just like every other bigotry. Okay? Is still far more consequential than that. That's it. And anybody that tries to cynically talk about like, well, you know, anti-Semitism happens so you can't protest Israel, or suck my dick, okay? What the fuck are you saying? You're unironically advancing the cause of anti-Semitism by doing that. It's ridiculous.
Walk the streets, you know, hear expressions of support for Palestinian civilian life, and think about the fact that even though nothing about that makes you soft on anti-Semitism, the experience has been that those two things, expressions of support for Palestinian civilian life and expressions of anti-Semitism, have sometimes traveled together because there is, in fact, an explosion of anti-Semitism going on in this country.
These things are not... Anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are only related to one another because Israel says they're doing this for Jews. And every pro-Israel group masquerades as a pro-Jewish advocacy group. And this, of course, teaches people the wrong lessons. Sure, anti-Semitism exists, but I've never heard someone replying to the "Do you condemn Hamas?" with "You're Islamophobic." Ironically enough, in many instances, it is because of Islamophobia that people go, "Do you condemn Hamas?" Because "Do you condemn Hamas?" is a question you only ask because you want to justify Israel's actions to a certain degree. Because that's what that is, especially at this stage. Oh my God! Now when people ask me that shit, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, that was basically the price to pay the piper initially to get a word in edgewise. You know what I mean? If you went on the Piers Morgan show, you had to do 10 condemnations of Hamas before you actually began to talk about how October 7's responsibility is still directly in the hands of Israel. Is there actually an audience for this both sides bullshit that he's doing? Sure. There's definitely an audience. But the audience is smaller and smaller. Every day that audience gets smaller. For the most part, I think the both sides is like the squishy pro-Israel people who are like kind of ashamed of being openly pro-Israel. So they need like a little bit, they need something, they need anything they can to be like, well, you know, here's why I'm pro-Israel, because Hamas has done like condemnable actions, that sort of thing. I'm not running defense for this line of reasoning, but I'm sure a major calculation in anti-Semitic attacks is the likelihood that they're attacking people who support Israel is high, given the share of Jews who support Israel. So in a sense, it can be perceived as anti-adventurous and retaliation in that sense. However, this is obviously unacceptable in the form it manifests. Yes, of course. I mean, I think it's mostly because there are very sinister elements that perfectly captured the attention of so many people and directly made the cause of anti-Zionism about Jews and their control over U.S. media, control over the U.S. government. You know, that's it. It's like there are so many people. This is why I kept warning over and over again. Like, this is a warning from a dude named Hasan living in the United States of America, okay? A dude named Hasan who came to the United States of America in 2009, okay? What Jews are doing in America when they defend Israel and say this is actually anti-Semitic if you criticize Israel, or what Jews are doing in America in defense of Israel and tying Israel's actions back to Judaism is like if I was running around telling that they are Islamophobic for shitting on ISIS. if I just ran around and said, how dare you criticize ISIS? They are the truest form of Islam. They're doing it for all of us. They're doing it for the ummah, and you're Islamophobic. That's what it looks like to the average person. But because for the longest time, for like the last 76 years, except for the last 2, for the last 76 years, people have been able to say this because everyone's association with Israel was positive for the most part in the United States of America. A lot of people do not realize that the dynamic has shifted. They don't realize that they were wrong from the jump about their calculations. They were wrong to assume that Israel was a good thing anyway. And also on top of that, they are wrong to assume that this is a good way to defend Israel or a good way to stop the conversation from taking place. The only thing that it does is it normalizes and justifies anti-Semitism. Okay? For the average person, for the average American, when you run around and you go, hey, man, I'm Jewish and I love what Israel's doing, you are literally making people lean into the nascent anti-Semitic opinions that they already have. Because Americans Americans can understand a bigoted argument much better than a complex argument, such as anti-Zionism. Okay? Anti-Zionism and a criticism of Israel from the perspective of like anti-fascist criticisms or anti-imperialist criticisms are much more difficult for Americans to understand. You know what's a much easier argument? Look at all the Jews in Hollywood. They obviously own the media. Look at all of the Jewish control in DC. Every American is going to look at the situation and go, "Oh my God, that does make sense actually. Yeah, you're kind of right." That's it. It's much easier to be anti-Semitic. It's much easier to make an anti-Semitic argument that Americans will respond positively to than it is to describe to them principled anti-Zionism from the framework of anti-imperialism, from the framework of anti-fascism. Because, like, what can I say when you got Larry Ellison, who literally is a demonic figure himself, okay? Major IDF fan, major fan of Israel, the second richest person on the planet, Donald Trump's shadow, basically, guy who is a CIA cutout, purchasing TikTok from China with the express purpose of making it more pro-Israel. You see that and you're like, okay, well, what am I supposed to think? Like, the average American is going to look at that and be like, oh my, it's happening. It's happening in front of my eyes. Like, what the? Yeah, and then you got Barry Weiss, who's now going to be the editor-in-chief of CBS.